my name is Julia M. Spencer. I'm a real estate advisor, investor, and your #1 source for real estate advice online. Thanks for having checked out my YouTube channel here. Very glad that you're here. Make sure you subscribe. Okay, in this video, I want to talk about inflation-induced debt destruction. And that's a mouthful. It actually took me three tries to say that. So let's say that again. Inflation-induced debt destruction. What the hell does that mean? You know, the first time I ran across this term when I was interviewing Jason Hartman, one of my friends. He's also a very prolific podcaster. Actually, he's got some videos on YouTube, but he's mostly active with podcasting. He's published a couple of ebooks, but he's mostly just a very successful real estate investor for many, many years. He's been doing podcasts for 14 years. He's got over 5,000 podcasts out there, and he's just my main example mentor here for podcasting and for how to speak on the air, which I have also a radio show and right here on YouTube. But he's the one that mentioned to me this term recently during an interview, so I want to talk about that in this video. So let's take apart this term, inflation-induced debt destruction. What does that mean? So inflation, we all know, is basically the fact that money today is worth more than it will be tomorrow or the next day or down the road, because money loses in value over time. And we can go into a really long discussion about what the actual inflation rate is. Here in the United States, don't know, maybe 4% or so. Maybe in some periods of time it's been more, in some periods less. And for other countries, I can't even speak about that, but we have some very extreme inflation rates in some of the developing countries where money basically is not worth anything anymore, and you have to just pay more and more and more to get the same amount of products and services. So let's just assume inflation here in the United States is about 4%. Of course, the government will never agree with us. The scholars here might have some different opinions, and I'm not a politician or an economics major to even know that. Somebody tells me inflation rate is about 4%, I believe them. That's okay with me. So let's just use that as our example. So when we talk about inflation-induced debt destruction, what we're talking about is inflation having an effect on mortgages. So basically, if you go out and purchase real estate and you get, like, say, a fixed rate loan at one particular point in time. Let's say you purchase a property for $100,000. It doesn't even matter what price, but you can assume that if your payment is the same for the next 30 years to pay off that mortgage loan, let's say you have a fixed rate mortgage, then and your interest rate's the same basically on this particular loan. So your payment is basically the same, minus of course fluctuations of your taxes and insurance and other things that you have to pay that sometimes are calculated into the payment. So let's just assume that your payment stays the same for the next 30 years. So you do have to agree with me that each year that we have a 4% inflation rate, that's a couple of years down the road, doesn't even have to be the whole 30, that the money you're paying that debt back with to the bank is, although the amount is going to be the same, it's actually going to be worth less, which means that you are actually paying back your debt from a long time ago with money that costs you less to make because it's not worth as much anymore. So you're basically paying back debt in cheaper dollars, if that makes sense at all. But here's an example that Jason actually used in one of his podcasts, and I'm going to add the link to those podcasts at the bottom of this video so you can see where I'm coming from. But basically, he's saying that, let's say you own real estate for $1 million, and inflation rate is 4%. So each year, you're actually getting, through inflation, you're getting a debt reduction of $40,000. 4% of $1 million is $40,000 per year. So you're basically paying back $40,000 less than you took the loan on every year because of inflation. So this is what he calls inflation-induced debt destruction. I really love that term. I want to keep saying it. Inflation-induced debt destruction. I love that term. And it makes total sense. But here's another key thing, which is really cool. cool about real estate, which is why we're all in real estate, why we love it so much, I'm not paying back the loan at all. My tenants are paying back the loan by the rent that they're paying to me, which is what they pay to stay in my property. So let's say I have a property for $100,000, right? Let's talk just a small thing, $100,000 property, inflation rate of 4%. That'll get you a inflation savings basically every year of $4,000. So each year you own this $100,000 property, and there's an inflation rate, of 4% each year. So you basically, each year you're paying back that loan for $4,000 less. That loan basically becomes $4,000 cheaper every year because you're paying it back in cheaper dollars. But you're not paying it back at all because your tenant is. So double whammy there, I love it. This is one of the things why I love real estate investing. Jason actually goes into a little bit more detail about the many dimensions of real estate investing, of how a multidimensional asset class it is. I've used that term many times before. I've actually picked it up from him. So if you wanted to watch his podcast, feel free to do so. I'm not endorsing him in any way. I'm not getting any kickbacks or anything. I just think that's very valuable information, and I'm just sharing that with you. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense, so you know now what inflation-induced debt destruction is, how inflation actually benefits your profits and your income and your wealth in real estate investing, and it's one of the dimensions of real estate investing as an asset class. Real estate as an asset class, many dimensions, inflation is one of them, and this is what that means. I hope this video made sense to you. Make sure you subscribe at my website at the bottom here, juliamspencer.com. That's how you'll get a newsletter sent to you, and also how you can get your free guide to real estate investing. Check out my ebooks. Make sure you subscribe right here on YouTube as well. Click the like button if you like this video, share it. Click the bell. I think that's what notifies you if I post new videos. And I hope to see you investing very successfully soon. Have a great day.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.